Hi, Dr. Tanya English here, and I'm here to help you know more, know her for the first time, maybe, Carma Spence. She is an awesome person, and I want you to know about her. She's an award-winning speaker, author, and editor. Carma Spence helps entrepreneurs, small business owners, and executives turn on their author switch. I love that, so that they can leverage the power of books to take their business and careers to the next dimension. She's a two-time best-selling author, and using both experience and research has created the Author Diagnostic System. She has 30 plus years. How is that possible when you look like you're about 25? I don't get
I'm twice
that.
that.
30 plus years of marketing and public relations experience in the corporate world, and is certified in author marketing and the Story Way methodology. And thank you for being here. I'm
Thank you
so
for
excited.
inviting me.
Yeah, I wanna find out, like, okay, so what was I mean, I know people who are writers. I'm in Iowa City. It's the UNESCO literary town, right? This is where the Iowa Writers Workshop is. So we have a lot of writers around here. And I wanna just find out from people, especially that I know are writers, what's the impetus that makes you put the word down on paper or on your computer? What is it that's driving that?
For me, I think it's just integral to who I am because I've wanted to be a writer, been interested in being a writer since I was a toddler. And I mean, I think some of that it comes from multiple places. I mean, I
Mhm.
like to tell the story of when I was 4 years old and we were at Mombasa Beach and my dad wrote my name in the sand and asked me what that word was. And it took me a moment. I sounded it out and I realized it was my name. And I've been in love with my name in print ever since. So, I mean, I suppose there's an ego factor, and I think any writer that tells you there isn't a ego factor is probably lying to themselves or you or both.
No, I know whenever I see my name, because my name isn't usual. Well, now it's like everywhere. But when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of Tanyas.
Mhm.
And to see my name in print, I mean, because you never get those little license plate that say Tanya on them. So
Right.
I would see my name in print. And at one time when I was growing up, there was a tanning lotion you could get that was called Tanya. And I actually have a picture. I actually have a picture, a movie. Brad Pitt's in the movie, and he drives by the billboard. I think it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Uh-huh.
and I got the still of that. So I say, "This is me and Brad Pitt," because it's my name. Because
Yeah,
it,
there
it
was
makes a difference to see your name in print. It makes a
it
difference to see your
does.
name in front of you, and like you can identify with that, and it's something very um, it's so personal because it's
It
who.
is. Even when it's not your name, because I remember, there was, like, this time in LA where there was, like, all this traffic, and they called it Carmageddon. So I posted on Facebook, "I promise I had nothing to do with it."
That's great.
And there
You
was
can
a
use that over and
commercial.
over again, though.
Yeah, and then there was a commercial, I think it was for a pizza store that, like, used the acronym Karma, so I took a screenshot because it's like
Why
most
not?
of the time you see Karma in print is with a K.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
when you see it and see so there's the ego factor, and then there's the creative impetus. I'm a very creative person, so a lot of what I write is just it's part of my creative expression, and over time, as I've matured, there's the wanting to share my knowledge and my wisdom
Mm.
with others, as well as in my current business, helping others not make the mistakes I made.
Right, 'cause once you go through that, like those of us of a certain age, we go through things and we're like, "You know what? If I did that over again, this is what I do first instead." So
Exactly.
it's it's a way to share that with people, absolutely. But you're not writing fiction, is that correct?
I want to. I have written fiction, and I do plan to release some fiction probably next year,
Mhm.
but, because I started off in fiction. I started off in
Okay.
fiction, and then but nonfiction well, there's a couple of things. Nonfiction is easier to monetize,
Mhm.
and at one time, I was married to a real piece of work who told me I needed to stop the fiction because it wasn't making any money, and I'm still struggling to get that voice out of my head.
Oh, well, that's where I can come in and help with that because that voice gets we can turn that right down. It's amazing too how that stuff sticks with you. The negative will stick
Yeah.
with you, and the
Yeah.
positive will be like, but I want to feel this way. And there's
Yeah.
lots of little things that I teach my clients and patients that they can do to turn that volume down. So
Yeah.
it's not as hard as you might think, but after having that voice in there for so long, it's
Yeah.
you kind of just gravitate to that. But
Yeah.
that's just a sabotage of a self-sabotage effect that we have going
Yeah.
on, and there's many of those. But tell me when you're working with somebody, like say you're working with somebody like me, and I want to get this information out in a book and I want it to be personal, what's the kind of routine that you go through with people to get them to actually write it down?
Well, it depends on where they come to me.
Mhm,
But like, let's just take a hypothetical client who comes to me, says, I want to write a book, but either I'm not sure what I should write about or
mhm,
which of many ideas I want to write about. I walk them through a process that helps them narrow that down so they know, okay, here's the idea that will help me reach the goals I want with this book.
mhm,
The
mhm.
next step is outlining, and I have a whole process around creating an outline that will practically write the book for you, because if you do that work up front, the writing becomes easier, and that's whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah,
The
that's
authors who outline have they hands down, they all say, "It saved my life," in that book. The
because
more
you can
I
get lost in your thoughts too, and then you forget, like, oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to be writing in this part about this, and
Exactly, and it can create writer's block because sometimes your mind will say your subconscious knows where you wanted to go, and then you go on a side trip and it'll just stop you and you don't know why. And then when you take a look at you realize, "Oh, I wasn't supposed to kill that character off. They're
right,
needed down the road."
right, right.
And so it can create and I in fact, in my upcoming book that's coming out in February, it's all about outlining, and I talk about turtle writer and rabbit writer. And turtle writer is the one who writes the outline. He plods along and he wins. He wins the
Mm,
race because rabbit writer follows the muse and
mm.
then goes down writing rabbit holes, and get stuck and write stuff that they don't end up using, and they just waste a
Yeah,
lot of time. Whereas if
right.
you can get the two part, because we have both turtle and rabbit inside us. And if we
Sure.
can get them working together, rabbit actually works better when she is constrained by turtle's outline.
Oh, I love that because it gives you those bumpers to stay in the lane and not to wander
And
too far afield.
research has proven that constraints actually enhance creativity because you're
Oh, yeah.
trying to work within those guidelines.
Yeah, I had a teacher in high school who was our acting teacher, and he would always say, "Welcome the limitations," because the limitations are going to make you more creative. It's going to make you have to think about things a little bit differently so that you can get
Yeah.
through what you need to do. Yes,
And
that's
I have this whole thing called Embrace the Turtle Way, and I just got the T-shirt a few days ago. You
I
are the
love it.
first audience to see it.
Ooh, oh, I love that. That's great.
Isn't it beautiful?
What a beautiful, yeah, it's beautiful.
It's too cold to wear it right now, but I
Wear it
designed
with a
it.
shirt underneath, yeah. That's
Yeah.
gorgeous, I love it. So tell me what you're working on now. I mean, you have a program for people that wanna write, and they can access that through your website, karmaspence.com, right?
Actually go to authorswitch.com. That's where all my websites are connected
Okay,
from there.
okay.
And I am developing a 90-day program that will help writers, basically entrepreneurs, write a lead attracting book in 90 days or less. I'm still in the trying to make sure that I've got all the pieces before I actually launch it. I'm hoping to launch it probably in the late spring. It's looking like right now because I'm trying to put all the pieces together, but I'm planning to have a wait list page ready soon-ish. So,
Mm.
there's
And
so
then
many
you
things
also
to
have a
do.
podcast too.
I have 2 podcasts.
Wow.
I have a weekly podcast called The Author Switch that comes out every Monday, and I record it live on LinkedIn 2 weeks before it goes out to the world on all the other podcast
Mm,
platforms. And then I have a weekday podcast I do first thing in the morning called Coffee with Karma. And in
Mhm.
that one, I always supply 5 tips on whatever topic I've chosen for that day. And on Fun Friday, it's always something fun. This last Friday, I did what bookmarking lessons I learned from watching 1950s sci-fi movies. And this coming Friday,
I
I'm
love it.
going to be 5 things that Godzilla taught me about being an author.
Oh, this is amazing. Karma, you're just this creative, amazing mash of energy. So I'm just excited that we get to have this conversation because makes me start thinking, well, like I know that there's several stories I'd like to tell about things that have happened in my life and how they impacted me. And how can I do that? And get it across and have it be readable.
Right. Oh,
Because
yeah, we
there
were
are a lot.
talking about the author's journey. We only got as far to step 2, which is
Yeah.
the outline. Step
Right.
3 is writing. And that I support in a variety of ways because some people want to write the book themselves, some people need to farm it out. And so I support either option. With the higher end clients, I'll actually do the ghostwriting. Otherwise, I recommend some of the ghostwriters that I work with. I also help people figure out how to find time to write their book.
Mhm.
Then there's launching the book, which can be as minimal or as extravagant as you want it to be. And then I am developing a program called Book Marketing Club, which will help people with the ongoing marketing. Every month there'll
Mhm.
be a new marketing task or technique that they get to learn, and I support them with. And every month it's something new. And the reason why I did it that way is because bookmarking is a buffet. It doesn't mean you have to eat everything in the buffet.
Right.
And a lot of the book marketing teachers out there, they hone in on 1 or maybe 2 techniques, which is great, except that if those 2 techniques don't work for you or your audience,
Right.
then you just spent all this money on a technique that you're never gonna use. Whereas with the book marketing club, it lowers the cost of entry to learn this stuff, and you get to test everything. Sort of like it's like going into the grocery store and having a taste of something before you buy it. So
Oh, I love that. I love it when they do that.
yeah, I mean, this way you get to try
Right.
out you can go to the bookmarking buffet,
And
and
see what
today
feels
you'll grab
yeah.
these entrees, and tomorrow you'll grab these entrees, and over time, you'll discover what your marketing mix is.
Oh, I love that. That's great. You have so much to offer, Karma. How do you do
Thank
it
you.
all?
I don't know.
It all
I
fits
don't get
somehow.
enough sleep.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's such a pleasure to hear about this. Is there other things that you would like the audience to know about what they can do for themselves as far as moving forward in writing?
The
Even
first
like
thing,
journaling kind of writing too?
um, well, journaling is very helpful in helping you, like, figure out your thoughts. I mean, because honestly, if you're gonna write a really thoughtful, like, book that could be thought leadership, you need to set aside time to actually think.
Yeah.
And I know I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot. I'm trying to figure out how to wrangle my social media so it's not, like, consuming all my free time. Because sitting and thinking deep thoughts
Mhm.
is really important
It is. You
for
have
your
to
audience.
yeah, and bringing new information in, like, sometimes I find I'm overwhelming myself with bringing information in, and I have to just, like, stop
Exactly.
and go meditate, and do that work that way because I need to have the quietness to allow that to sink in.
Mhm.
I was just watching something the other day, and they were saying how you have to speak slower when you're doing presentations because people have to be able to take in what you're saying and think of it. And really, people are only hearing every seventh word because they're getting triggered to think of something else. And then they come back and they've missed 5 or 6 words in between. So the idea is that um, you're getting across these concepts, and then people can use them to bring in their own creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want this is sort of like one of my soapboxes, is a lot of people out there who help authors bring their books to life, help them bring whatever book idea the person brought. with them. And they never stop to think, is this the right book for what the author wants to achieve? And so that's one reason why I wrote the book that came out this month, which is It All Starts with an Idea, 99 cents on Amazon. It helps you come up with the right idea because you need to be strategic before word one is written. You need to understand, what goal are you trying to achieve? Is it the right goal, and will this book achieve that goal for you? Now, the books I tend to help people are ones that generate leads. There are lots of other goals one can have. I mean, I had a goal once of writing a second edition of a book because I mainly just wanted to get my former married name off the cover. I have a couple more books I need to do that too as well, because I want to eradicate that last name from my name.
Yes, it's over.
And it achieved that goal.
Mhm.
Along the line, I was hoping it would achieve another goal. It didn't,
Right.
because I was splitting to eat. It is best to have like one really clear goal for your book and then focus the content of that book in achieving that goal. And you can't do that if you don't have that goal set up to begin with. So
Right.
regardless of whether you're writing fiction, nonfiction, memoir, it doesn't matter what you're writing. Get very clear on what you want that book to achieve for you, and then write the book that will achieve that goal.
Wonderful. So you're really like this whole reverse engineering that we talk about all the time in healing and doing programs and getting information out to people. That
Yeah,
reverse engineering starts with, what is it that you want to achieve with this idea?
exactly.
Yeah.
So many authors are out there being really frustrated with the book they produced because it's not achieving the goals they wanted, because they either A, didn't write the right book, B, they're messaging the book they wrote incorrectly so it won't achieve, or they just need to, so there are three things I'm trying to remember. Okay, write the right book,
Yeah.
have the right messaging, and have a goal book match. And usually one of those three things is wrong when your book is not doing what you want it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great way of looking at it too, because you could s- you could set it up to really be incredibly successful if you do all those steps first.
Yeah. And if I work with someone who's already got a book that's not functioning, that's one of the things I look at. Okay, is this book as it is capable of achieving the goal you want? If yes, then we can either tweak the messaging, tweak the marketing. Sometimes you need to write a second edition because the book needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Mhm,
And that usually also comes with messaging and marketing. And then
mhm,
sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, this book will not achieve that goal. So they have to write a different book.
mhm.
That's the worst news to give someone
Yeah,
because they're like, so at that point, you either decide, do you want to write the book that will achieve the goal,
right.
or do you want to change your expectations of the
Yeah,
current book?
yeah, that makes sense too, because it doesn't always have to be what you thought it was gonna be. You may have written something really great, but it's not gonna do what you thought it would do, it's gonna do this thing. So that's
Exactly.
really wonderful. I love that
Yeah.
too. That's great. So how can people get a hold of you, and what do you want them to know?
The best way is to go to authorswitch.com, because on that homepage, it has information about what the author switch is. It leads to my weekly podcast, and it has links to all my other websites. And basically, first of all, I want you to know that you can do this. Everyone has at least one book in them. I really think most people have more than one book in them.
Mhm.
And if you've already turned on the author switch in your head and you know you want to write a book someday, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
It is no cost. Curious conversation with Carma, carmaspence.com/schedule.
Yeah. Easy. So easy, and then to, like, be able to map that out in your own mind of how it's gonna show up
Yeah,
makes that part so much easier. So, thank you so much for this
you're welcome.
valuable information. I think it's gonna be helping so many people, and it also helps people think about, like, down the road, if they would like to do something like this. Now they know who they can go to that
Right.
says, "I
They
can
can
help you
follow my
right there."
podcasts, which are on
Exactly.
YouTube. They can go to YouTube, but both my podcasts are on YouTube.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been really eye-opening and informative, and we'll have links for both of those websites, and for the YouTube channel for Karma, underneath this. So feel free to get in touch with her and find out how she can help you in getting your message out to the people that need to hear it. I had a coach once that said, you might be standing at the same salad bar, but the way that you make the salad is the only way that your audience is going to eat it. So
Yeah.
if you're not there to make the salad, they are not going to be able to eat. So this is a great way to make the salad so that they can eat it, so they can get that nourishment that they need from the experience that you've had, that you're helping people with in writing a book. And
Indeed. Indeed.
amazing. Thank you so much, Karma. We'll
You're
talk
very
soon.
welcome. Thank you.